Hey guys, it's Ashley with my Soul on Fire. Today I'm going to show you how to do one of my favorite cups. This cup is a glitter swirl cup, or it will be a glitter swirl cup. Glitter swirls are one of my favorites to do. They are so much fun. To me, they're just one of the funnest cups to make. Okay, so today we're going to start with a regular stainless steel tumbler. I do use the Ozark Trail brand tumbler from Walmart. I really love that brand and they work very well for me. I have spray painted it purple with this Rust-Oleum purple gloss paint. I hope that you can see that. Yeah. It does not have to be gloss. I happen to use gloss in this instance because that's what I had. It can be flat. It'll probably dry faster if it's flat. But you are going to be epoxying this and putting glitter on it, so you're not really going to worry about flat paint. I've also got some colors that I'm going to be using in glitter. And this first one is by Recollections and it's called Bling. It's kind of like a silver iridescent. This one here is like a metallic purple. It's called Orchid by Recollections. And this is a darker metallic purple, and this is called Muse by Recollections. And then I have two that I got from bulkglitters.com. This one's called Ebon Hawk, and it's an iridescent black, and Purple Rain, which is an iridescent purple. And this one is actually kind of cool because the iridescent isn't all rainbow. It's kind of like a bluish color and a fuchsia color are the two colors that shine in that purple. All right, so the first thing that I do is I mix up my epoxy. And I have found that I am highly allergic to the epoxy. So I will be putting on gloves, which it's, probably a good idea to use anyway. I use Amazing Clear Cast resin. I thought that I had a package for this still, the box, but I do not. It is a 2-part resin, part A and part B. It's the Amazing Clear Cast casting resin, and it is all I will use. I will not use any other resin on these. This is amazing. I just get these little medicine cups, and that is how I measure my resin. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the parts and pour it. You want a nice amount of epoxy on this. You want a nice amount of epoxy in this. I'm doing it about, what is that? It's about 3/4 of the way up. And then I am going to do the same amount with my other part. This part is a little bit more thick. So okay, so right here I have equal parts of my Amazing Clear Cast epoxy. I have equal parts measured out, a little part A and a little part B. Like I said, these ones are a lot of fun and they don't take as much time, but they do use quite a bit more material, I would say, especially the epoxy, than some others. It uses more glitter and more epoxy. So in the long run, I do end up charging a little bit more for these cups because there's a lot more product used. Okay, so I'm going to take each one of my parts and I'm going to pour it into the cup. You want to make sure that you get, I just use these little popsicle sticks here, and you just really want to make sure that you get as much of it out of this cup. The part A is probably the most difficult because it's so thick. The part B comes out really easily. But you want to make sure that you get as much of that out as possible because you want to get as close to the same amount of part A and part B as you possibly can, because this is an equal part epoxy for it to cooperate and work correctly. Where did my other popsicle stick go? I don't know, I'll just grab another one. Okay, so now part B. I just did part A. And you'll mix that in, and like I said, this one goes so much smoother. Okay, so that's good. So now I am going to very slowly mix this together. You don't want to get a lot of air bubbles in this. Every once in a while, I scrape the sides, and then I kind of go in the middle. And then I just continue the circular motion. I mean, you're gonna get air bubbles. It is what it is. But I just try to eliminate as many as I possibly can by not really lifting the popsicle stick too much. When I'm doing this, I'm scraping it along the bottom and around the edges, around the perimeter of the bottom of this cup to make sure that I'm getting it all. You'll see that it's still pretty cloudy. That means it's not mixed up yet. When you're making these cups, you really have to love what you're doing because things like this can be really time consuming. But it's not a step that you want to skimp on. You don't want to rush through it. You don't want to, you know, hurry up and stir it really fast because it's gonna show in your finished product. You're gonna have lumps and bumps and it's just not gonna be a quality product if you don't take the time to mix it properly. All right. Okay, so it started, you can see it started getting clear, and that means it's mixed together. When it starts to get clear, I usually give it another quick scrape around the edges, get the perimeter of the bottom again, and then go through the middle again. I just want to make sure what you don't want is epoxy that's not mixed well enough. It's just never going to set right and it's not going to look good. All right, so that's pretty good. It's pretty clear. And now we're going to put this on our cup. I have put down I've put down a protective layer because this cup, this is messy. This is not, this is a messy cup, but it's so much fun and it's beautiful in the end. So now I'm gonna take this, cup of epoxy, and I just like to use my hands. Can you turn that on for me? I turn on my turner. And I'm just going to start pouring it on from top to bottom, like so, as it's spinning around. And then I'm going to use my hand to make sure that I'm getting it all over. Whoa. There we go. Even on the bottom. I always put the epoxy just over the edge of the top too, and then I clean that up later to make sure that I've got a good clean finish. So this is a nice thick layer. I'm going to put a little bit more on here because we will lose some epoxy after we do the swirling process. So I always put a little bit more on because the last thing you want is spots that don't have epoxy at the end. Okay, so once I've got it all on, I smooth it out with my hand a little bit, not too much because I don't want to pull all the epoxy off, and then I just let it spin a couple times around Hold on. I don't want to waste this epoxy here. And there's still some left. Okay. So, there we go. See, I've already lost some on the bottom. Actually, I don't usually lose that much at the beginning. I poured it a little differently than I normally would. I usually smooth it as I go, but I did not do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now that it's starting to smooth out, I'm going to take my first color and I'm going to start, I think, with, I'm going to start with probably maybe the Purple Rain. Uh-oh, I haven't opened this Purple Rain yet. That must have been a different one that I opened. Okay, so now these ones from Bulk Glitters, I just got the sample ones because I wasn't sure I was going to like the colors. So I just use one of these big popsicle sticks and I pull it out that way. That way I'm not, you know, losing a whole lot. You lose a little bit more glitter this way because it is so messy. But I layered this paper up on purpose so that I could do this. All right. So now I'm going to put this down here to catch as much of the glitter as I possibly can. Okay, so what I start with is just a line. I just want to create a line up the cup of this color glitter. Now I'm going to move this paper to the side, roll it up like such, and pop it all back into my canister. Now I'm going to start with the next color. We will do, how about the Ebon Hawk? And I'm just going to do this right next to the Purple Rain. Now, here we go. Go, and now I'm going to collect that, put that back in the container because I really want to try to lose as little glitter as possible. Okay, so it's rolling back around. I'm going to put another line. I try to keep, I mean, you can do it however you want. You can put a line over here or whatever, but I kind of try to keep them next to each other when I'm making my lines. I'm going to get another piece of paper so that I can switch in and out a little bit easier. I'm going to use some bling now. I'm going to put the bling on this side. I'm not going to put a whole lot of bling in there, but some. Okay. And now some of this lighter purple here next to the bling. Okay. All right, and now we're going to start again with the Purple Rain. Uh-oh, I missed it. I have to wait here. Let's put it here. It doesn't have to be in any specific pattern. You can do this however you want. It's gonna go everywhere when you start to swirl. So just remember that pattern isn't as important with this one. Because this is about to completely all swirl together. I need one of my pieces of paper. And I think I'm gonna do some Ebon Hawk over here. And you can see it's already starting to swirl just slightly in a few spots. And one thing I like about this is that some of these are fine glitters, some of these are extra fine glitters. So it's kind of like a nice little mix. Ooh. There we go. And perfect. Now I'm going to, this is this one. Put some more of that light purple in there, and I'm going to do a little bit of that there too. And I think I actually want a little bit more bling in this. I've only got 2 small little stripes of bling. And it's really just about looking at it and seeing what you like. I put a little bit in there. And then I think I'm going to do some of this Recollections Muse again. And a little bit in there too. All right, so now I'm going to start the process of swirling it. At this point, I think I need a little bit of the Ebon Hawk over here. Hold on. At this point, hold on. At this point, I can always add more glitter in if I want to. All I do now is I get out my heat gun and I turn it to the medium setting. You don't want it, it's not going to do anything if you turn it to the coolest setting. I should probably turn this off while I'm talking. It's not going to do anything if you put it to the coolest setting. The hottest setting is too hot. So we're going to do medium. Let it heat up for a second. And now I'm just going to slowly go up and down. You won't get too close. You're just going to go up and down, and you'll see it starting to move a little bit. I just go up and down all the way until I get to the beginning again. Sometimes I go a little more if I don't see it really moving. And I forgot to move that. Oh well. See, now right in here, I think that that's a little too much of that light color there, so I might go back in with some black, or actually even some purple. But I'm going to wait and see how this swirls. You can see how it's starting to swirl now. Let me see here. There we go. You can see how it's really starting to swirl and look pretty. So we're going to give it a minute to see what it's going to do before we even add anything else. Now, if I do add more, I never just glop it on. I always add it in lines. That way it swirls the same as everything else, and it goes in the same direction there. Actually, I feel like maybe I definitely don't want to add any more black. It's a pretty good mix right now. I think it's looking pretty good. Now, one thing you are going to get with this is you are going to get like little air bubbles right along the line here every once in a while. You can pop them. You don't have to. It's not a big deal because it's not going to do anything to your cup. I went through this whole thing with one of my first ones where I was popping it every 10 seconds, and then I realized at the end it ends up popping itself anyway, and it was just a waste of time. But so anyway, you'll see that I did lose a little bit of the epoxy down here. I actually didn't lose as much as you do sometimes. Sometimes it takes a little bit more to get the glitter moving. And when that happens, you have to heat it up a little bit more, and then you lose a little bit more of the glitter epoxy on the bottom. But this one turned out really well. And the glitter moved and swirled really nicely for me pretty early on. Okay. So I will just let this spin. I'll let it spin overnight. And in the morning, it's gonna be pretty smooth and beautifully swirled. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.